Dr. Torregano has a history as a music teacher, both at all levels, university level, and he is one of the people that is responsible for the growth, the establishment of the Ellis Marcellus Center for Music. Of course, he's a musician himself, pianist, and has quite a history as a composer, as an arranger, as an author, but most of all, he's just a great human being. And as I told Brett, he will bring this all home so we can see that music really does have healing power. It really is a language unto itself. And for sure, it is something that someday we hope every child will have access to. So we're so delighted to have Michael here. Michael, tell us what's going on in your part of the country, my friend.
Okay, right now we're dealing with education with the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
We're still dealing with that. Things changed a lot on us last March. We were rolling along and not expecting things to change, even though we were looking at the news. I remember maybe about 3 days before this shutdown, I went to my director and said, what are we going to do? What's our plan? And she
Right.
was like, I don't have a plan. It's like, we'll do whatever the state does. And it just slapped, I think it was like a Thursday, and it just slapped us in the face. Everything shut down, and we immediately went into what are we going to do mode. We knew we were going to have to go remote right away, and so we closed down for a week and came up with a plan. It was a rushed plan, but we gave it our best shot, and we finished out. We worked on semester basis, so we got things going, and I'll put it like this: we kind of limped to the end of that semester, and then we had a summer program that we had to start right away, and that was amazing. And it was amazing. We had over 100 kids doing an online music program during the summer, which was it was unheard of. And we've stayed closed the whole school year. We're still closed right now, even this summer. We're doing our summer program right now. So that's where we're at right now with our program. Just trying to maintain, keep the education going, and we're looking forward to getting back in the center in August. I spoke to one of our instructors this morning, and he was like, I can't wait to go back. And I was like, you know what? I'm probably the last person to get tired of doing Zoom lessons, but right now I'm tired of it. I can't wait to go back either.
So you're going to bring the kids back as the new school year starts.
Right, exactly.
If you had, and this is interesting, you had 100 kids working virtually online.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
It meant we had to hire new teachers like right away. We cut lessons down to half-hour lessons, half-hour individual lessons with kids. The way our program is structured, our kids, you don't just come and say, I want to play saxophone. You get your instrument, whatever your discipline is, whether it's voice, saxophone, whatever, guitar. Every kid has to take piano at our center. So they get both of those. Some of them get private lessons also. We also do a math and reading component to keep them going, academically in school. And we also started a coding program last year, which was interesting. So they're getting 4 to 5 different subjects, and so to work up a schedule, which I'm the person who works up a schedule, I had a couple of sleepless nights, but we worked it out. We worked it out.
When you say a coding program, what is that?
Coding is basically getting the kids started in writing programming, computer programming. They're in the initial stages. So we started our director of education. He's always looking for something. He's always into technology, and so he came up with that idea about a year and a half ago. And we had Tim Cook from Apple came down
Ooh.
and toured our facility, and he's the guy who's really into coding, and so Apple donated everything that we needed to get this program going. All the computers, iPads, all of the equipment, the spheres, the little balls, everything to get the program going. And he wants us to get this program going in the schools in our area. And so it's different from music, but it's also something that gives kids another pathway to excellence in life.
Can you explain, Michael, that at the Center for Music, the Ellis Marsalis Center for Music, what's the clientele? How do kids get in there? How do you choose who's going to be a part of it?
Okay, well, maybe I need to go back to the beginning, to how we started. Certainly, it came up after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, and I wasn't in New Orleans at that time. I had just started a job in Mississippi teaching at a university, so I had just left the city like 3 weeks before the storm hit. But during that time, the aftermath, the story as I was told is Harry Connick and Branford Marcellus, who were both New Orleans natives, they were in Houston and they were driving down to take a tour of the city along with their manager. And while they were there, Harry said, we need to do something to try and impact the community. Um, let's try and build some houses. And I think the discussion as they were riding, let's do a music center. Let's do something to try and get music going. So out of that came what's called Musicians Village, which is located in, it's weird because it's going to sound weird because we're in downtown New Orleans, but we're actually in what's called the Upper Ninth Ward. The Ninth Ward is a different, it's sort of split. Our part is right before you get to the Industrial Canal. If you cross the canal, you're in the Lower Ninth Ward. The Lower Ninth Ward is an area that floods a lot. I mean, you can go all the way back to Hurricane Betsy in 1965 when it flooded. So certainly with Katrina, it was an easy flood for it. But we're in the Upper Ninth Ward, and it's basically an area that has been low economic, and so it's a great idea to try and help people from that community, that part of town. So they built 72 homes with Habitat for Humanity's help. And of course, the center was built a little bit after the houses were built. And in 2012, it opened. Um, and we are basically servicing the people within that community, within the Ninth Ward area, different parts of New Orleans East, and that whole community gentility. We don't service the whole city, okay, but basically that certain segment of town, which it is a nice chunk of the city. It's a pretty historic area. And that's what we service. And we service kids from 7 up to 18 years old. And as I stated earlier, we offer all instruments. Every instrument there is strings, piano, guitar, bass, voice. We offer it all, and everyone, like I said earlier, has to take piano. And of course, music educators will know why. The kids say, "Why am I taking piano? I don't want to play piano." But hey, be quiet and learn how to play the piano. You thank me later. you know.
Amen.
Yeah, those are our offerings to students, and we also what in the beginning when I first started, I came in about 5 or 6 months after the center opened in 2012. As I said, I was working at a university, and for that summer I didn't work. I normally would take my vacation and come home to New Orleans, and so I was asked to come in and teach for that summer. So I did that, and it was interesting for me because I hadn't worked with young kids in many years, and I'd been a high school director and then university. But I remember my teaching career started out working with small kids, and so they gave me the smallest of kids. I had the 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds, and started them off as beginners, which was interesting. And as an educator, I didn't realize how much I actually missed doing that, working with small kids. And at the end of the summer, I was asked, "Hey, would you like to come on full time?" Uh, and and actually work at the administrative part. And I jumped at the opportunity because, first of all, it was an opportunity to come back home, to come back to New Orleans, and to see a program in its infancy, and knowing that they wanted to grow, to be a part of that. That was very interesting to me. So I jumped on that opportunity, and
so you've been at this for what,
9 years.
9 years?
Yeah, next year will be year 10 for us.
How have you seen it grow during that time, Michael? Because obviously it's servicing a portion of the community that otherwise would not be able to connect to the arts, right?
Right. You're absolutely correct. When I first started, because like I said, this is right, just, even 2012, you're still 7 years after Katrina. Things were still messed up here. A lot of people don't realize that,
How?
7 years,
How?
you still had housing.
Oh,
People didn't have anywhere to live. A lot of people that had left here didn't come back, or weren't back yet, or weren't able to come back yet. The education system was totally flip-flop from what it was when I was teaching, because now we had switched to an all charter school network, which was
oh,
different and new, and nobody really knew how to do that.
yeah.
uh, some schools didn't offer music at that particular time. Uh, the whole music education was just, to me, it was in an uproar.
Right.
When I came back and looked at things, I'm like, this is not the same thing that I remember, and I hadn't been gone that long.
Yeah.
So things were totally different. So we were actually providing a gap. Like I said, a lot of schools didn't have music programs, so now you could come here and learn music. You can come here and learn how to play an instrument, get some relief from the regular whatever's going on in life, for a few hours a day.
So
Uh,
how many students are you serving right now?
uh, it varies. Right now, I tell you, this past spring, it kind of went down a little bit because a lot of parents were tired of Zoom.
Oh
Okay,
boy, yeah, I got it.
in our summer program, our enrollment went down. But normally we do our beginners Mondays and Wednesdays, doing 66 kids a day. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 66 a day. And on a Saturday, we'll get over 100 kids on a Saturday, 120 or something. It's a small center. We're very small. We're very limited with space, but we've grown. We've actually acquired 2 properties within the neighborhood, 2 homes, and we've converted them. And so that gives us some extra classroom space because our particular building is pretty small and pretty limited.
You've had to see a situation where a young person probably didn't have any chance at all, became part of the center and bloomed into something great. Yes?
We've had a few that have done really well with it. Most of what we have are kids that come to us as beginners.
Mhm.
We get a few that come to us that can play it, but most of our kids come to us as 7, 8 year olds that are beginners. I remember we had one kid. In fact, she was from a family of kids. They were a great family. There was like 5 of them, and they all just really took off with music. But one in particular was a saxophone player. She got into the jazz saxophone,
Mhm.
and she was playing classical piano. She was just really excelling, and she graduated from high school last year. And I spoke with her mother maybe a few months ago, and she was like, "Man, she really misses that saxophone because we loaned them the instruments and they had to turn them into us." And she was like, she really regrets turning that saxophone in. I said, "Well, buy her one," because she was really doing really, really well. In fact, I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, it may have been the last jazz festival that we had before Katrina, was when the Marcellus family actually did a concert together where the whole family came in and played with their father, which
Wow.
actually turned out to be the last time, right?
Yeah.
And some of our students performed with them in that concert, and this particular saxophone player was up there with them.
Oh,
So these kids, they've experienced some great things. To get on stage with Winton and Branford and
huh.
that, you can't beat that.
No, no, I was going to ask how I could get on there. If you have to, I mean, this is such a wonderful thing, and what you're doing. I mean, it not only is heartwarming, but it's also, again, changing people's lives. If people, are there people that contribute to it, that they donate, they can grants? How does that work?
To be honest, the first, let's see, we've been open 9 years. I would say probably the first 6 years that we were open, we were strictly going off of donations. And we would
Okay.
do fundraisers. Like we would go around the country. In fact, we would take some of our kids to go and perform. I remember going on one trip in particular to San Francisco, and this, I don't know whose house it was, but it was a beautiful house in Frisco. And I remember meeting like Marcus Allen, former NFL player, was there, and you have all these people, and they're there to dedicate, donate money to the center. We've sent kids to Chicago, Boston, New York to perform doing fundraisers. So the first 6 years was strictly off of personal donations. Now we've started getting grants. We started the grant thing, and people still donate. And one of the most interesting donations has been pianos lately. I'm talking about baby grand pianos that people call us up. got this piano we like to give to you. So we give it to our students, and we just pay for the shipping, give it to students. So a lot of kids are acquiring, really nice pianos. I'm not talking about, the kind of piano I grew up on as a kid. Uh, and instrument donations of all kinds, though we always receive them, and we give it to the kids.
I think that's phenomenal. Michael, I mean, did you ever think, well, like when you were going through school, your music education, university, that you would be doing anything like this?
To be honest, no. Uh, as a youngster, I knew I wanted to play music. I knew I wanted to be a musician. Really, by the time I was 12, I knew I wanted to play music,
Hmm.
for a lifetime as a career. Um, but to do what I'm doing now, no, not at all. It wasn't on the radar. Even though we went, my family and I, my brothers and I, we went to a little small community center where we always took lessons every Saturday morning. I didn't know what it was like to watch Saturday cartoons because we were going to lessons every Saturday, and it was so minimal. I mean, it was like $1.50 for a lesson at that time. I'm talking
Wow.
'60s, going into early '70s. I think when I finished taking lessons, we might have paid $3 for a lesson.
Wow.
And that was great. And now to see myself working at a community center, similar to, which actually nothing like the one I went to, but it's on a much bigger scale. It's amazing.
You mentioned that during the pandemic that you had to go out and get some other staff members, teachers, and so forth. Tell us a little bit about your faculty now. What is it like? Who you got in there?
Uh, what we do is we basically find we have a combination of instructors. We have some veteran instructors who've worked in the schools for 30, 40 years or more. We also go to the universities, and we'll get students that are music majors. They're just about ready to graduate, or they've just graduated. So we have a different combination. And before Ellis retired, I mean, before he not retired, before he passed away, he started recommending some of the local musicians. Like this really fantastic piano player down here named Oscar Rossignoli. If you haven't heard of him, don't you will pretty soon.
Yeah.
And Oscar's started teaching jazz piano, and you should hear his students. I mean, they're playing almost as well as he is. And some of the guys that were in Ellis's band, like Ashlyn Parker, Gerald Watkins, he recommended them. So we brought them in to teach. So we have just a combination of, professional musicians as well as professional educators.
You know, uh, Most of the people who are going to be watching this, Michael, are teachers.
Right.
How important is the teacher to the musician or to the student or to the individual?
That is, teachers are the most important, I mean, in your development, in everyone's life. I don't care what area of life you're doing. I look back on people that taught me. Uh, it's unbelievable,
What influence did they have? How did it change your life?
well, you know, first of all, they give you the opportunity to learn this fantastic thing that we call music and to develop you. But aside from that, the discipline that they teach you, just life lessons that they teach each and every day, this is the way you need to do things. Even guys that weren't teachers, but like I remember when I first started playing professionally, being around older musicians who would tell you, hey, this is how you need to dress for a gig. You know,
Mm.
this is what time you need to get to a gig. You need to show up at least 30 to 45 minutes early, teaching you how to be a professional. All those people that teach you something to make you a better person and make sure that you make some kind of valuable contribution to this thing that we call life. And music educators, we do that every day. It was amazing. Yesterday, I had, one of our instructors actually sent me a picture of a student that I taught, 20, 30 years ago. And I know this particular teacher is in Shreveport right now. And my student went to Grambling University. So all of a sudden they called me, said, yeah, man, I'm here with the ex-student. And he's teaching at the high school here. And he's also one of the assistant band directors at Grambling University, which I didn't know. And this kid gets on the phone and he starts talking, thanking me for everything I did.
Oh,
Like, what did I do?
oh.
It was touching. It was a very touching moment, and I get that all the time.
Well, I think the music teachers, particularly because we deal with feeling, right? We deal with
Right.
emotions, that they can connect with those students in a different way, not to be disparaging about any other teacher, but they
Right.
can connect in a different way. So this, I mean, didn't that make you feel great when you got to talk to that guy?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I haven't talked to him in years, so it
Oh,
was great. And you get that all the time. And I always tell them, I wasn't trying to do anything great when I was teaching. I was just trying to get you to play music, show up for rehearsal on time, make these performances, and just try and do the right thing. And but they see it totally different. Things that when you're doing it, you don't really think about what you're doing. You're just doing your job. But
right.
the impact that you have on the kid is totally different from what you think you're doing.
Yeah, and when talking to the teachers, it's like, I know you're getting ready for the concert. I know the fundraiser. I know you have all this, but those students are hanging on to your every word.
Exactly. Yeah,
And
exactly. It's unbelievable. Because I was joking with him. I said, you didn't really have to become a band director. I didn't tell you to do that. you know, you didn't have to do that. And he's like, no, I had to do it. You put it in me to do it. So it's great and it's very gratifying. And it's unbelievable how many kids I have that I taught that are actually teaching now on different levels. When I think about it, I'm amazed.
well, and I would say that many of them, had their life not intersected with you, might have done something else with their
Right.
time, effort, and energy. Wouldn't it be like
Exactly.
that? Since this whole interview with Evelyn and with Orrin and with you is about the healing power of music, would you just speak to that a little bit about music and its healing power, and particularly after Katrina and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Right. I think that music is one thing that touches the hearts of all men and women. It it is something that can make a bad day all of a sudden seem like a good day.
Oh,
Um, it's something that gives you hope, I think, for tomorrow. There's always some hope to be found in the words of a good song. Music it definitely gives people, especially kids, because I like working with kids a lot. It gives them something to look forward to every day. When they finish with school and they come to us in the afternoon, it is 3 hours of not worrying about science and math and reading. I can sit down and do something that I enjoy doing for a little while. And music just gives you pleasure. It can heal the spirit. I've seen people. Um, I remember I had one of my brothers who had cancer, and when he got through one of his battles, he asked me to go to the hospital with him to go and play for cancer patients one day. He played clarinet, I played piano, and watching patients come in there, and just for that 30 minutes or whatever that we played, and watching the smiles on their faces and how much they appreciated what we did, that's the healing power of music right there.
yeah, it's a language unto itself.
Right, exactly.
Connect. Not to spin something bad to be good, but had it not been for Katrina, this center might not have even existed. Yes.
You're probably right because the idea probably never would have evolved. So there's always something that comes out of something bad, and so this is one of those things, and hopefully we just keep it going and keep trying to touch lives and change lives every day.
Well, that's perfect because you've set me up for the next question. What are the plans for the future? Let's see, you're what, 27 years old now, so I know you. What are the plans for the future for the group?
Right now we're we want to certainly with the shutdown with the pandemic, we had to get away from some things like we haven't done ensemble performances at all. Everything's been,
Oh,
which actually has been a good thing. At first, I thought it was going to be bad, but with everyone getting individualized lessons, and I've spoken to a few teachers, they're like, some of these kids have made a lot more progress than they normally would have made if
yes,
they're sitting in an ensemble.
right.
And so that's actually a good thing. But we want to get back to our ensembles. We had a jazz band. We actually put a big band together at one point that was
Mm,
performing at the Jazz and Heritage Festival. So we need to get that going again. Our string program, we want to strengthen that. And it's always been my goal to one day have an orchestra with
mm.
our kids. We haven't got there yet, but that's still on the horizon. And so we're working at that. Just keep performing, just keep touching lives. We also, oh, one thing I didn't mention, we have a music production class. Forgot to mention that, where the kids actually, some of the kids who actually excel well with keyboard
Mhm.
skills, they're learning how to write and produce their own music, doing
Oh,
electronic music. And, like I says, they can do the music that they want to do. Whatever you hear on the radio, that's what they're working on. They're also learning how to do videos for their music. So we just want to keep developing these programs, keep giving kids the opportunity to do things that they want to do, and just set them up for success, set them up for enjoyment in doing what they're doing, and we just keep rolling, keep trying to change lives every day.
well, first of all, thanks for this time. That's great. Secondly, what advice do you have for all those, particularly young teachers out there who they've gone through this pandemic? Some of them have started their first year in the pandemic, and just the hold on part, the lock on part. What advice do you have for them as they take on their journey?
My advice for any young teacher that's starting out right now is just take it one day at a time.
Mm, mm,
If today was bad, tomorrow's going to be better. Just keep working on your plan, set your goals for yourself, and work your plan and seek advice from other people.
mm,
Surround yourself with good teachers. I remember when I was teaching, I had a good friend. I left a school. I left a middle school and went to a high school. Well, the guy I recommended to take the middle school was the guy I went to college with.
mm,
At one point, we were calling each other every night on the
mm.
phone, 2 or 3 hours, talking about our jobs.
Right.
And this was like for like 2 years, 2 or 3 years, we would do this. We would call each other every night or several times a day, improving each other, pushing each other to improve. We would go out and observe other bands and say, how do they do what they're doing?
Mm.
And so surround yourself with good people, that you can work with, because you can't do this thing alone. Uh, and one other thing I remember, there was one of the great band directors in the city of New Orleans was a guy by the name of Edwin Hampton, who was at St. Augustine High School. He's a legend in New Orleans. Um, St. Augustine was an African American all Catholic school, and he broke down a lot of racial barriers with his bands, and
Mhm.
just had an award-winning band, did Super Bowls and all of that type of stuff with his bands. And when I first started teaching, because I had been knowing him from a kid, when I first started teaching, I would go to him and say, Mr. Hamp, how do you keep teaching this song? How do you keep doing what you're doing? He would never give me an answer. He would never answer my question. I was, how do you do what you're doing? He would never answer me. And I guess he was saying, you got to figure it out on your own. So some of it you do have to figure out on your own. But surround yourself with good people. That would be my main advice for young teachers.
I don't think we ever get too old to have a mentor,
No, not at all.
right? Because the more you know you don't know. So you got to go learn more.
You're right.
One more favor. Would you let us do this again sometime so we can dig in more of your
We can do
skills?
it again tomorrow if you want.
You are the best.
I would love it. I would love to do it again. And, I don't have all the answers, but I'd be glad to spread whatever little knowledge and wisdom I have. I don't mind helping people.
Well, I mean, that's the sign of a master teacher that always wants to give more. And that's part of what we do. I think that's maybe the mission spirit overtakes some of the other stuff sometimes. So thank you so much, Michael. And to all of you out there, we need to give a shout out to Brett Babineau, who put this incredible idea together, manifested it into reality when everybody said, oh, that'll never be done. But here we had Evelyn, we have Orrin, we had Michael. I mean, what a trilogy to take home and to study time and time again. So thanks to all of you for your time. Michael, once again, thanks for your time. And to everybody, let's let the music begin. All right.
It is.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tim. All right.